The snow was falling hard that night. Kang Tae-ho drove slowly on the empty mountain road, his tired eyes watching the white flakes dance in his headlights. He had worked 18 hours at the hospital. His body was heavy with exhaustion. All he wanted was his small apartment, a hot shower, and his bed. The radio played soft music. The heater hummed. Outside, the forest was dark and silent. Then the sky broke open. A streak of fire cut through the clouds above him. It was bright, brighter than anything Tae-ho had ever seen. He slammed his brakes and watched as the burning object screamed across the heavens. It was not a meteor. It was not a plane. It moved with purpose, fighting against its own death, before it disappeared behind the mountain ridge. The explosion that followed shook his ambulance. Trees bent from the force. Snow fell from branches like white rain. Tae-ho sat frozen, his hands gripping the steering wheel. His heart was pounding. Every part of his brain told him to drive away. Call someone. Let the authorities handle it. But he was a paramedic. For 8 years he had run toward emergencies while others ran away. It was not courage. It was training. It was instinct. He grabbed his medical bag and stepped out into the cold. The forest was thick and dark. Tae-ho used his phone's flashlight to guide his way, following the smell of smoke and burned wood. Branches scratched his face, snow soaked through his boots. The cold bit into his skin. After 20 minutes of walking, he found it. The ship was unlike anything from Earth. It was silver and smooth, shaped like a curved blade. Parts of it were torn open, glowing with strange blue light. Steam rose from the wreckage where hot metal met cold snow. There were symbols on the hull, writing that Tae-ho could not read. He stood there, unable to move, unable to think. This was not possible. This could not be real. Then he heard it. A sound, weak and broken. A cry for help. Tae-ho climbed through a hole in the ship's side. Inside, the air was thick with smoke. Emergency lights flickered red and blue. He saw bodies on the floor, 2 of them. They wore armor and carried weapons. Their skin was gray. Their eyes were open and empty, dead. And beyond them, trapped under a fallen beam, was someone else. She was humanoid, but not human. Her skin was pale violet, smooth like polished stone. Her hair was silver, long and tangled, covered in blood. But her blood was not red. It was blue, glowing faintly. Spreading across the floor like spilled starlight. A piece of metal had gone through her stomach. She was pinned down, bleeding out, barely breathing. Tae-ho rushed to her side. His training took over. He checked her pulse. It was weak, but present. Her breathing was shallow. Her eyes were closed. "Can you hear me?" he asked. No response. He looked at her wound. The metal shard was deep. If he pulled it out, she might bleed faster. If he left it in, she would die anyway. He needed to stop the bleeding. He needed blood. But what blood? Her blood was not human. He had no idea what type she needed. He had no idea if anything in his medical bag would even work on her body. A device on her collar crackled. Then, to his shock, it spoke. Translation, active. Her eyes opened. They were silver, like mirrors, reflecting Tae-ho's own frightened face back at him. She looked at him with confusion, then fear, then something else, acceptance. "You are native species," she whispered. Her voice was weak. The collar device translated her words into Korean, though the sound was broken and strange. "You should run. My enemies may return." "I am not leaving you," Tae-ho said. "I am dying." She coughed. Blue blood dripped from her lips. "My blood is gone. There is no compatible source on this primitive world. You cannot save me." Tae-ho looked at the wound, then at the blood pooling around her. She was right. She had lost too much. Without a transfusion, she would be dead within the hour. He thought about his training. He thought about blood types and compatibility and all the science he knew. None of it applied here. This was an alien. Her biology was a mystery, but blood was blood. It carried oxygen. It carried life. And Tejo was a universal donor. O negative. His blood could go into almost any human without rejection. What if it could go into her too? It was insane. It was reckless. It could kill her faster, but she was dying anyway. Doing nothing would guarantee her death. Doing something, anything, at least gave her a chance. "I am going to try something," he said. "It might not work, but I have to try." She looked at him. Her silver eyes were fading, losing their light. "Why?" she asked. "You do not know me. You owe me nothing. Why risk yourself for a stranger?" Tejo did not have a good answer. He just knew that he could not watch someone die when there was something, anything he could do. "Because you need help," he said simply. "That is enough." He searched the ship and found what looked like a medical bay. The equipment was alien, but some things were universal. He found tubes. He found needles. He found a machine that seemed to monitor vital signs. Using gestures and broken communication through her translation device, Tejo explained his plan. The princess, for that was what she was, watched him with something like wonder. "Your blood in my veins," she whispered. "It will not work. Our biologies are too different." "Maybe," Tejo said, rolling up his sleeve, "but I have to try." He inserted the needle into his own arm first. Dark red human blood flowed into the tube. Then, with shaking hands, he connected it to her arm. The first drop of human blood entered her alien veins. She gasped. Her body shook. The monitors around them went wild with alarms and flashing lights. Tejo held her hand and did not let go. "Stay with me," he said. "Stay with me." The night was long. The snow kept falling, and somewhere on a forgotten mountain road in Korea, a paramedic gave his blood to a dying alien princess, not knowing that this single act would change the fate of two civilizations forever. Her name was Leora, and she was not ready to die. The first hour was the worst. Leora's body fought against the human blood. She shook violently. Her skin changed colors, shifting from violet to pale blue to almost white. The machines around them screamed warnings in a language Tejo could not understand. Lights flashed, alarms rang. But Tejo did not stop. He held the tube steady and watched his dark red blood flow into her silver veins. "Your body is rejecting it," he muttered to himself. Come on, accept it." He had given blood many times before, at hospitals, at donation centers. He knew his limits. He knew how much a human could safely give. But tonight, he pushed past those limits. He gave more than he should. He gave until his vision blurred and his hands trembled. Leora stopped shaking in the second hour. Her breathing steadied. The alarms quieted. The monitors showed readings that Tejo could not understand, but they looked stable. They looked alive. He removed the needle from his arm and pressed a cloth against the wound. His head was spinning. His body felt hollow, like someone had drained not just his blood, but his strength itself. But she was alive. The princess was alive. Tejo sat beside her on the cold metal floor. He was too weak to stand, too tired to think. He leaned his head against the wall and closed his eyes. "Just rest," he whispered to her, though she could not hear him. "Just rest." He did not mean to fall asleep, but exhaustion claimed him, and the world faded to black. When Tejo woke, light was streaming through the holes in the ship's hull. Morning had come. The snow had stopped. Birds were singing outside, unaware that an alien vessel lay broken in their forest. And Leora was sitting up. Tejo blinked. He thought he was dreaming. The woman who had been dying hours ago was now awake, alert, and looking at him with her silver eyes. "You are awake," she said. Her voice was stronger now. The translation device on her collar worked smoothly. "I was concerned. You gave too much of yourself." Tejo tried to stand, but his legs gave out. Leora moved quickly, catching him before he fell. "Careful," she said. "Your body needs time to recover." "How are you alive?" Tejo asked. "You were dying. The wound, the blood loss, it should have killed you." Leora looked down at her stomach. The metal shard was gone. In its place was smooth violet skin, unmarked, as if the wound had never existed. "I do not understand it myself," she admitted. "My wounds have healed, my strength has returned. In fact, I feel stronger than I have felt in years." She paused, looking at her hands like they belonged to someone else. "Your blood did something to me, something impossible." Before Tejo could respond, a new sound filled the air. Engines, vehicles, voices. Through the broken hull, they saw lights flashing in the forest, red and blue, emergency vehicles, rescue teams. "They found us," Tejo said. The first person through the door was Yoon Ha-na. She was Tejo's colleague, a nurse who had worked beside him for 5 years. She had been worried when he did not come home. She had tracked his ambulance's location and followed it into the mountains. When she saw him sitting on the floor of an alien spacecraft beside a violet-skinned woman, she dropped her flashlight. "Tejo," she whispered, "what the hell is going on?" The next few hours were chaos. Police arrived, then military, then people in suits who never gave their names. The forest was blocked off. The ship was covered with tarps. Leora was taken to a secure facility, and Tejo was taken with her because he refused to leave her side. Doctors examined them both, human doctors who had no idea what they were looking at. "Her biology is completely different from ours," one doctor said, staring at his readings. "Different cell structure, different organ placement, but somehow she has human blood proteins in her system, human antibodies, human immune markers. It's like your blood merged with hers." "Is that dangerous?" Tejo asked. "We don't know. We've never seen anything like this." But Leora was not worried. In fact, she seemed amazed. "I was born with a sickness," she told Tejo later when they were alone. "A flaw in my royal bloodline. It made me weak. It would have killed me eventually, even without the crash. My doctors said there was no cure." She held up her hand, watching her own fingers move with smooth strength. "That sickness is gone now," she said. "Your blood did not just save my life, it healed me completely." Tejo did not know what to say. He was a simple paramedic. He had done nothing special. He had just helped someone who needed help, but Leora looked at him like he had given her a miracle. "My people need to know about this," she said. "Human blood, your biology. It could change everything. There are diseases in the galaxy that have no cure, plagues that have killed billions. If human blood can do what it did to me—" She did not finish the sentence. She did not need to. That night, the sky lit up again. But this time, it was not a crash. It was an arrival. A fleet of ships descended through Earth's atmosphere. They were beautiful and terrible, silver vessels that moved like living things. They filled the sky from horizon to horizon. The Valen Imperium had come for their princess, and they had questions. Military channels exploded with warnings. Governments panicked. People all over the world looked up at the sky and saw that humanity was not alone in the universe. But in the secure facility, Leora stood calmly and activated a communication device. "This is Princess Leora of House Varen," she said. "I am alive. I am safe. Stand down your weapons." A voice responded, deep and cold. "Your Highness, we detected foreign biological material in your system. Explain." Leora looked at Tejo, the paramedic who had given his blood to a stranger, the man who had saved her life without knowing what she was or what it would mean. "A native of this world saved my life," she said. "His blood is in my veins, and I believe, Commander Rin, that his people may be the most important discovery in the history of our Imperium." There was a long silence. Then the voice spoke again. "Bring him." Taeho felt his stomach drop. The ships in the sky seemed to grow larger, more threatening. He was a paramedic from a small town. He had never asked for any of this, but Leora took his hand. "I will not let them harm you," she said. "You saved my life. Now let me protect yours." Taeho looked at the alien princess, at the ships in the sky, at the world that had changed forever in a single night. He nodded. "Okay," he said quietly. "Let's go." Together they walked out of the facility and into the light of the waiting ships. Behind them, Hana watched with tears in her eyes, wondering if she would ever see her friend again. Above them, the stars waited. And the galaxy held its breath. The inside of the Velan ship was nothing like Taeho had imagined. He had expected dark metal and cold technology. Instead, he found warm light, flowing water, and walls that seemed to breathe. "This way," Leora said, guiding him through the curved corridors. "The commander wishes to speak with you." Velan soldiers lined the halls. They were tall, all of them, with gray skin and sharp features. They wore silver armor and carried weapons that hummed with energy. Every single one of them stared at Taeho as he passed. Their eyes held no warmth, only suspicion. He was human. He was primitive, and his blood was inside their princess. Commander Rin was waiting in a large chamber at the heart of the ship. He was older than the others, with scars across his face and eyes like black stones. When Taeho entered, those eyes fixed on him with cold hatred. "So this is the creature that contaminated our princess," Rin said. His voice was deep and sharp. "It does not look like much." "He saved my life, Commander," Leora said firmly. "Show him respect." "Respect?" Rin stepped closer to Taeho. He was a full head taller. "His primitive blood flows in your royal veins. He has violated the purity of House Varen. In any civilized system, this would be punishable by death." Taeho's heart pounded, but he did not step back. He met the commander's gaze without flinching. "I did not violate anyone," he said quietly. "She was dying. I helped her. That is all." Rin's eyes narrowed. "You speak bravely for a species that has not even reached its own moon in decades. Your people are nothing. Insects crawling on a rock. That is enough, Commander." A new voice filled the room. It was deep but calm, carrying the weight of absolute authority. Everyone in the chamber turned and knelt. Everyone except Taeho, who did not know who had entered. Emperor Varos of the Velan Imperium walked into the room. He was ancient. His violet skin was marked with lines of age. His silver hair fell to his shoulders. His eyes were the same silver as Leora's, and they held a wisdom that came from centuries of rule. "Father," Leora said, rising, "I did not expect you to come personally. My only daughter nearly dies on a primitive world, and you did not expect me to come?" Varos smiled slightly. "I am old, Leora, not heartless." He turned to look at Taeho. The human stood alone in the center of the room, surrounded by alien soldiers, facing an emperor who ruled 1,000 worlds. "So," Varos said, "you are the one who gave his blood to my daughter." "Yes," Taeho said. His voice did not shake. "Why?" It was the same question Leora had asked him. Why help a stranger? Why risk himself for someone he did not know? "Because she needed help," Taeho said. "I am a healer. It is what I do." Varos studied him for a long moment. Then he turned to his medical officers. "Show me the results." The officers activated a holographic display. Data filled the air, charts and graphs and images that meant nothing to Taeho but clearly meant everything to the Valen. "Your Majesty," the lead medical officer said, his voice trembling slightly, "the results are extraordinary. The human blood did not just sustain the princess, it healed her. The genetic flaw in her bloodline, the condition that has plagued House Varen for generations, it is gone." Silence fell over the chamber. "Gone?" Varos repeated. "Completely, Your Majesty. The human blood carried regenerative properties unlike anything in our records. It repaired damaged cells, it strengthened organ function, it eliminated the hereditary weakness at the genetic level." Varos turned slowly to look at Taeho. His silver eyes were wide. "One human, one transfusion, and you cured a disease that our best scientists could not touch in 500 years. Taeho did not know what to say. He had not cured anything. He had just given his blood. But the Emperor was not finished. "Tell me more about this species," Varos commanded. "Tell me about humans." The medical officer swallowed. "Your Majesty, we have analyzed the data from the human's biology. What we found is difficult to believe. Speak. Humans evolved on what we would classify as a Category 12 death world. Extreme temperature variations, high radiation levels, aggressive predators, toxic plant life, deadly microorganisms everywhere." The Valen soldiers shifted uncomfortably. A Category 12 world was considered uninhabitable by galactic standards. "Their biology adapted to survive this environment," the officer continued. "Their blood carries oxygen more efficiently than any known species. Their immune systems are aggressive and adaptive, capable of fighting diseases they have never encountered before. Their cells contain regenerative markers that activate under stress." He paused, looking at Taeho like he was seeing a monster. "Your Majesty, by our standards, humans are not primitive. They are apex. Their bodies are weapons against death itself. And if their blood can do what it did to the princess, then it could heal others," Varos finished. "Not just others, Your Majesty. It could heal anyone, every species, every disease. Human blood may be the most valuable substance in the galaxy." The silence that followed was heavy. Taeho felt every eye in the room turn to him, some with wonder, some with fear, some with greed. Commander Rin stepped forward. "Your Majesty, this is dangerous. If word spreads about what human blood can do, every faction in the galaxy will want this species. They will be hunted, harvested, enslaved." "Or protected," Leora said sharply. "We could ally with them, trade with them, help them take their place among the stars." "They are primitives," Rin argued. "They cannot even defend their own world." "They survived a death world," Leora shot back. "They are stronger than you know." Varos raised his hand. Both of them fell silent. The Emperor walked slowly toward Taeho. He stopped directly in front of the human, looking down at him with eyes that had seen civilizations rise and fall. "Your species has been hiding in the dark of the galaxy," Varos said quietly. "Now the light has found you. The question is, will humanity rise to meet it, or be consumed by it?" Taeho thought about his home, his small apartment, his colleagues at the hospital, Hana, who was probably worried sick. He thought about the billions of people on Earth who had no idea what was happening above their heads. "We are not a resource," Taeho said. "We are people. If you want our help, you will have to ask for it. Not take it." Rin made a sound of disgust, but Varos smiled. "Brave words," the Emperor said. "I wonder if your people share your courage." He turned to address the room. "We will not invade Earth. We will not take humans by force. But we will make contact. We will offer alliance. And we will see what kind of species humanity truly is." He looked back at Taeho. "You will return to your world and speak for your people. Tell them what you have learned. Tell them what is coming. Because human, the galaxy has noticed you now. And there are others out there far less kind than me." Tejo nodded slowly. He was going home. But he knew deep in his heart that nothing would ever be the same. And somewhere in the stars, other eyes were watching. Other forces were moving. The news of human blood had already begun to spread. The galaxy was hungry, and Earth had just become the most valuable world in the universe. The world changed in a single day. When the Velan ships appeared in Earth's sky, panic spread like wildfire. Cities ground to a halt, governments declared emergencies. People filled the streets, some screaming in terror, others staring upward in silent wonder. Humanity was not alone. The universe was vast and full of life, and that life had come to Earth. Tejo returned home in a beam of light. One moment he was on the Velan flagship, the next he was standing in the parking lot of the hospital where he worked. Hana was waiting for him, along with dozens of government officials in dark suits. "You are coming with us," one of them said. "The president wants to see you, now." Within hours, Tejo was in Seoul, then on a plane to Geneva, then standing before the United Nations Security Council. The most powerful leaders on Earth sat before him, their faces pale with fear and confusion. "Tell us everything," they demanded. "What do they want? Why are they here?" So Tejo told them. He told them about the crash, about Leora, about the blood transfusion that had somehow changed everything. He told them what the Velan had discovered about human biology, about how their blood could heal diseases that had plagued the galaxy for millennia. When he finished, the room was silent. "They want our blood," one leader said quietly. "That is why they are here." "They want to offer alliance," Tejo corrected. "But yes, other species will want our blood too, and not all of them will ask nicely." The debates that followed lasted for weeks. Politicians argued, scientists analyzed. Military leaders planned. The Velan ships remained in orbit, patient and waiting, while Earth tried to decide what to do. Tejo was pulled in every direction: interviews, press conferences, medical examinations. He became the most famous face on the planet, the simple paramedic who had first made contact with alien life. People called him a hero. Others called him a traitor. Some said he had doomed humanity by revealing their secret. But Tejo knew there had been no secret to reveal. He had simply helped a dying stranger. Everything else had followed from that single choice. Hana stayed by his side through it all. So did Dr. Baek Sung-ho, a government scientist who had been assigned to study the biological implications of the Velan discovery. "Your blood is remarkable," Baek told him one evening, after yet another round of tests. "But it is not just your blood. It is all human blood. Our entire species evolved on what they call a death world. We are walking miracles of survival." "So what does that mean for us?" Tejo asked. Baek hesitated. "It means we are valuable, incredibly valuable. The Velan are offering protection and alliance, but other factions have already sent messages. Some are offering trade, some are demanding samples, and some are threatening," Hana finished grimly. "I have seen the reports. There are empires out there that do not negotiate. They take what they want." Tejo felt the weight of it all pressing down on him. He was not a diplomat. He was not a leader. He was just a man who had been in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or maybe, he thought, the right place at the right time. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. Leora visited Earth in secret, traveling down in a small shuttle that landed in the mountains where they had first met. Tejo was waiting for her. "You should not be here," he said. "It is dangerous." "I know," she replied. "But I had to warn you. My father's alliance is genuine. He wants to help humanity. But there are others in the Imperium who see you differently." Commander Rin has been speaking to rival factions. He believes humans are a threat that should be controlled, not freed. Controlled how? Leora's silver eyes darkened. There are empires that harvest species for biological resources. They breed them like livestock, use them until they are empty, then discard them. Tae-ho felt sick. That is what Rin wants for us? That is what Rin fears others will do if humanity is not controlled first. In his mind, he is protecting the galaxy from chaos. But I know what control means. I have seen what happens to harvested species. She stepped closer to him. Tae-ho, your people have a choice to make. You can accept protection from the Imperium and remain a client species forever, safe but never free. Or you can fight for your independence and risk everything. And if we fight, then you will face enemies who have conquered thousands of worlds, species who see you as nothing but medicine to be extracted. Tae-ho was silent for a long moment. He thought about Earth, about his colleagues at the hospital, about the billions of people who had no idea what was being decided for them. What would you do, he asked, if you were us? Leora smiled sadly. I would fight, she said. My people were conquered once, long ago. We rose again. We became conquerors ourselves, but we never forgot what it meant to be powerless. That is why I believe in you. Because you have never been powerless. You have been surviving a death world for millions of years. You just did not know it. She took his hand. Let me help you. Let me speak for you in the Galactic Concord. Let me show the galaxy what humanity truly is. Why? Tae-ho asked. Why do you care so much about us? Leora looked at him with those silver eyes, the same eyes that had stared at him in the wreckage of her ship, accepting death. Because you saved me, she said. Not because I was a princess. Not because I was valuable. You saved me because I was dying, and you could not let that happen. That kind of compassion does not exist in the galaxy. It is rare. It is precious. And I will not let it be destroyed. Tae-ho squeezed her hand. Okay, he said, then let us show them. Let us show the whole galaxy what humanity is made of. In the weeks that followed, preparations began. Earth's governments, for once, worked together. Scientists developed ways to donate blood safely and efficiently. Diplomats crafted proposals. Military leaders built defenses. And Tae-ho, the paramedic who had started it all, prepared to speak for his species at the Galactic Concord, a gathering of empires that would decide humanity's fate. Hana found him the night before his departure. He was standing on the mountain road, looking up at the stars. Are you scared? She asked. Terrified, he admitted. She stood beside him in silence. You know, she said finally, when I first met you, I thought you were the most ordinary person I had ever seen. Quiet, simple, boring, honestly. Tae-ho laughed softly. But now I know the truth, Hana continued. You are not ordinary at all. You are the kind of person who runs toward danger instead of away from it, who helps strangers without thinking about yourself. That is not ordinary, Tae-ho. That is what makes us human. She hugged him tightly. Go up there and show them, she whispered. Show them who we are. Above them, the Velen ships waited. Beyond them, the galaxy stretched out in endless darkness, filled with wonders and terrors beyond imagination. And somewhere among those stars, humanity's future was waiting to be written. Tae-ho took a deep breath. Then he walked toward the light. The Galactic Concord was held on a station at the edge of known space. It was ancient, built by a species long extinct, and it floated in the darkness like a monument to civilizations past. Ships from 100 worlds gathered there. Some were elegant and beautiful, silver vessels that glided through the void like fish through water. Others were massive and brutal, warships bristling with weapons that could crack planets in half. All of them had come for one reason: to decide the fate of Earth. Tae-ho stood at the entrance to the Great Assembly, a chamber so vast that clouds formed near its ceiling. Representatives from across the galaxy filled the seats that rose in tiers around a central platform. Creatures of every shape and size watched him with eyes of every color. Leora walked beside him. Behind them came Hana and Dr. Bayek, representatives of Earth's scientific and medical communities. They were the first humans to ever stand in this place, the first to face the judgment of the stars. "Remember," Leora whispered, "they will try to intimidate you. They will call you primitive. They will say you do not belong here. Do not let them see your fear." Tae-ho nodded. His heart was pounding, but he kept his face calm. The assembly fell silent as they took their place on the central platform. A creature of living light, the speaker of the Concord, addressed the gathering. "We are assembled to discuss the species known as humanity," the speaker announced. "Representatives may now speak." Commander Rin rose first. His gray face was hard, his eyes cold. "Humanity is a biological anomaly," he declared. "Their blood carries properties that could destabilize the entire galactic medical economy. If they are allowed to trade freely, they will upset the balance of power that has kept peace for 10,000 years. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. "More dangerous," Rin continued, "is their nature. Humans evolved on a death world. They are aggressive, unpredictable, and violent. They have fought wars among themselves for their entire history. They cannot be trusted with the power their biology represents." He pointed at Tae-ho. "I propose that humanity be placed under protective custody. Their blood will be regulated. Their movements will be controlled, for their own safety and for the safety of the galaxy." Several delegations voiced their agreement. Tae-ho saw hunger in some of their eyes. They did not want to protect humanity. They wanted to own it. Other voices rose in opposition. "Humanity should be harvested efficiently," one delegate said. "Their blood is too valuable to waste on protection. Establish breeding colonies and maximize output." "Their world should be quarantined," another argued. "Keep them isolated until we understand the full extent of their biology. They could be carrying diseases as dangerous as their blood is valuable." The assembly descended into argument. Voices clashed. Accusations flew. Through it all, Tae-ho stood in silence, listening to powerful beings debate his species like they were discussing livestock. Finally, the speaker called for order. "The human representative may now speak." Every eye in the chamber turned to Tae-ho. Thousands of alien faces filled with curiosity, contempt, or greed. He thought about running, about hiding, about letting someone else handle this impossible moment. But then he thought about Leora, bleeding on the floor of her crashed ship, about the choice he had made that night: help or walk away, risk everything or do nothing. He had never been able to walk away. Tae-ho stepped forward. "My name is Kang Tae-ho," he said. His voice was steady, amplified by the chamber's technology. "I am a paramedic from a small town on Earth. I have spent my life helping people who are sick or injured. That is all I know how to do." He looked around at the assembled beings. "You speak about humanity like we are a resource, like our blood is something to be harvested and controlled, but you do not understand what our blood represents." He raised his hand, showing the faint scar from the needle he had used on the night of the crash. "On Earth, we give blood freely. Strangers walk into buildings and let doctors take their blood, not for money, not for power, but because somewhere, someone they will never meet needs it to survive. We call it donation. It is one of the most human things we do." The chamber was silent. "I gave my blood to Princess Leora because she was dying," Tae-ho continued. "I did not know she was royalty. I did not know her blood could not be replaced. I just knew that she needed help, and I could provide it. That choice was not complicated. It was not brave. It was simply human. He looked at Commander Rin. You say we are aggressive, violent, dangerous, and you are right. Our world is harsh, and we have fought each other throughout our history. But we have also saved each other, healed each other, sacrificed for each other. Every war has been matched by 1,000 acts of kindness that nobody remembers because kindness does not make noise. He turned to face the entire assembly. You can try to harvest us. You can try to control us. But you will fail. Because we have been surviving impossible odds since before your civilizations existed. Our world tried to kill us every single day. And we are still here. We are still standing. Not because we are the strongest or the smartest, but because we refuse to give up on each other. His voice rose. We are not a resource to be exploited. We are a people, and if you want our help, you will have to earn it. You will have to treat us as equals. You will have to ask instead of take. He paused, letting the silence stretch. That is what humanity offers, not just our blood, but our compassion, our determination, our stubborn, reckless, beautiful refusal to let the darkness win. If you cannot accept that, then we have nothing to discuss. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Leora stood. Her voice rang out across the chamber. I stand with humanity, she declared. The Valen Imperium offers alliance, not protection. Partnership, not control. We will defend Earth as we would defend any ally, and we will share in whatever future humans choose to build. One by one, other delegations rose. Some were small, species that had been conquered and freed, who remembered what it meant to be powerless. Others were larger, empires that saw potential in this strange new species. Not all of them agreed. Commander Rin and his allies remained seated, their faces dark with anger, but they were outnumbered. The speaker of the Concord raised its limbs of light. The motion is carried, it announced. Humanity will enter the galactic community as a sovereign species. They will control their own resources and choose their own allies. Any species that attempts to harvest, enslave, or invade their world will face the united response of the conquered. Cheers erupted from some sections of the assembly. Others sat in bitter silence. But the decision was made. Humanity was free. Teho felt his legs go weak. Hana caught his arm, tears streaming down her face. You did it, she whispered. You actually did it. But Teho shook his head. We did it, he said. All of us. 1 year later, Teho was back home. He still worked as a paramedic, though his ambulance now had some interesting upgrades courtesy of Valen Engineering. Hana had joined a joint human-alien medical research initiative that was already making breakthroughs in treating diseases across a dozen worlds. Dr. Bayek was leading Earth's first Galactic Health Institute, training humans to share their gifts on their own terms. The galaxy was still dangerous. There were still those who wanted to exploit humanity. But Earth was no longer alone. They had allies. They had purpose. They had a place among the stars. On quiet nights, Teho still drove the mountain road where it all began. Sometimes a silver ship would descend from the sky, and Leora would join him. She was Empress now, her father having stepped aside peacefully. The weight of an empire rested on her shoulders. But she always made time for this. For the man who had saved her life. Do you ever regret it? She asked him once, as they sat on the hood of his ambulance watching the stars. That night? The choice you made? Teho thought about everything that had happened. The fear, the danger, the impossible odds, the wonder. No, he said. I would do it again. Leora smiled. It was an expression she had learned from humans. You saved my life, she said. You saved my species, he replied. She looked at him with those silver eyes, and for a moment the universe felt very small and very large at the same time. Then we are even, she said. For now. Above them, the stars burned bright. The galaxy stretched out in infinite possibility. And somewhere among those distant lights, human ships were flying, human doctors were healing, and human voices were speaking for the first time in councils that had existed for millennia. Humanity had arrived. And they were just getting started.